Premiering at the Cannes Film Festival on the 25th of May 2017, Good Time, directed by Benny and Joshua Safdie, is a fast-paced crime thriller in which we follow a botched bank robbery attempted by Connie, played by Robert Pattinson, and his brother Nick, played by Benny Safdie. Following the arrest of Nick, we watch Connie's slow descent into madness as he seeks to gain his brother's bail money. In this video essay, I will be analysing the penultimate scene of the film, looking at how cinematography, editing, and sound create meaning for an audience. The scene takes place after Ray, as played by Buddy Duress, and Connie find an expensive bottle of LSD. The scene picks up pace as the pair fight over who will receive the money after selling it. The run and gun filmmaking technique is something the Safdies use a lot, pointing the camera in a general direction and focusing in on the character and not the general space around them. It helps to generate dirty camera angles, which not only help when creating character within a frame and adding depth to a shot, but also building this sense of erratic tension throughout the film, which is also found in films such as Nightcrawler and You'll Never Really Hear, films that follow similar ideas to Good Time. We find the use of this throughout the film, but in this specific scene, as Connie attempts to leave with the bottle, we see it repeatedly used alongside handheld camera work. Handheld shots seem to work best in realistic environments, lending the shot a sense of actuality. The somewhat jerky motion of the camera is meant to suggest the human head and eyes. In this situation, it helps to add a sense of realism to the film, as we relate it to the form of filmmaking known as documentary, a format based off true events. The sudden jittery movement relates to the character's movement, immersing the viewer into the situation as though they are in the midst of the fight. Josh Safdie commented, "Combining close-ups with thriller makes you feel trapped. It has a vertigo effect. It almost suffocates the viewer, not allowing them to move on to the situation until the characters do, creating an uncomfortable nature as we witness this prolonged fight." These tight shots are then drastically juxtaposed in editing, as 30 seconds later we witness Connie attempting to evade the police for a POV bird's eye view shot, and the worm's eye view of Ray climbing out the window. The camera is the eye of the audience. How the camera takes in the scene is how the audience will perceive it. The attempt here is to distance the audience from the action, creating a sense of voyeurism the characters are experiencing, as they have no control over what the other does, anticipating the other anxiously. We've seen a similar camera technique in Goodfellas, as Henry attempts to evade a helicopter he believes to be following him, also creating the same sense of agitation. The smoothness of the camera pan is subtly used to establish the space around Connie, but also used to portray Ray's fixation on Connie's movement. However, the abrupt zoom into the bottle immediately connotes how he's not focused on Connie, yet the bottle, which is further drawn into attention with the bright green colour of the bottle contrasting with the stark grey background. The zoom shows Ray's true motivation, to which Roy Thompson comments, "Often many visual or oral motivations will act as clues and will give the audience information which will explain the shot to a greater extent." The Safdie brothers want to switch the viewer's attention from one form of the action to another, which is further acknowledged as we intercut between the two scenes. Intercutting is a form of editing which switches between two scenes, often found in action films to heighten the tension of a scene. Christopher Nolan uses it extensively throughout Dunkirk as we switch between the land, sea and sky to perceive different perspective of the evacuations. The Safdie brothers use it to add a chaotic essence. Usually intercutting is about creating tension or drawing parallels. One parallel we can example is it allows Buddy to see the police, affecting the plot later as he has no way to escape and to scale the side of the building. This additional tension is then provided as we cut in between close-ups and wide shots, while keeping within the same 35mm lens to enclose the space around the characters. As we watch Connie get escorted to the police car, the takes become longer and longer. We begin to anticipate something. This anticipation is warranted by the sudden contrast in pacing, then being answered by Connie's eyeline match, to where the viewer knows Buddy is climbing out the window. The eyeline match is a simple idea, but a powerful one, since the directional quality of the eyeline creates a strong spatial continuity. Here it holds power, as we see the sudden terror dawn on Connie's face, inferring to the audience Buddy's danger, as we have never related this form of emotion to Connie before, as his character doesn't show signs of fear throughout the film. Emotion is shown through use of semiotics, signs that the audience can pick up on, allowing them to understand the narrative without it being obviously stated. Sound plays a key feature throughout this film, especially the score, which was conducted by Omnitrix Point Never, that helps add an ethereal effect to the film. Music within a film intends to further shape character identity and further the emotional response from an audience. Creating a synthesized score, Oniatrix says it was meant to embody Connie's psyche, his arrogance yet also confusion, which he found best through lead guitar and keyboard sound and music. Tonally, it sounds as though it belongs in a sci-fi featurette, however, similarly to Technically Missing from Gone Girl. And music for the funeral of Queen Mary. It is used to further the understandings of character. It allows us to get inside their head, understanding their psychotic behaviour through this amalgamation of enigmatic noises, which don't necessarily fit together, yet we understand as a rise in madness. The soundscape within this film is as manic as everything else. First seen with characters overlapping each other's sentences.
With the money, bro. Get off. I'm leaving.
No, we're waiting. We're fucking waiting.
Waiting for what?
Bob Osteen says, the dialogue within a scene can naturally overlap if there is a high energy and emotion, achieved through one track running for them both. This scene contains both high energy and emotion, and due to the Safdie's use of the Zaxcom Nomad, an audio recording device which has room tone, we are able to then hear the rustle of trousers, scraping of shoes on the floor, and zipping of jackets, furthering the intimacy between character and audience, bringing them closer together.
No. What? What are you doing? Told you, I'm done.
This, alongside the use of spot sounds such as dogs barking, near and police cars shouting, and further Foley work, they are able to build this incredibly violent soundscape, rising into the climactic moment of Ray's death.
Oh, what's up? Williams, he's on the building! Williams, building, now!
We then hear a sudden loss of sound as Connie enters the police car, creating this sense of eeriness, matching his half-masked face indicating his final step into madness, as Pattinson implements the Kubrick stare, before then match-cutting to Nick, completely shifting the ending tonally into a calmer, more controlled setting. Overall, Good Time represents to an audience how through use of cinematography, editing, and sound, emotion is able to be conveyed to represent senses of confusion, fear, and betrayal, even with a main character who establishes his morality at will as he goes along. But at every moment it changes, he is completely convinced by it.
The pure always act from love. The damned always act from love. That's love.